Hi, welcome to School of MiroKells. My name is Kelly Lorraine, and I'm here with my co-host Miro, and we're here to talk about all things spiritual. So, in today's episode, I really want to talk about the definition of awakenings. Now, Miro, I don't know about you and your definition, but I don't necessarily believe that we just suddenly have an awakening one day. I'd like to call it a reawakening. I think that at a very young age, we are imaginative, we see things, we feel things, we hear things, but then life gets in the way. We become programmed to daily life. And then all of a sudden we start to lead this 3D existence that eventually has to crumble. And we have what's called a reawakening. What's your definition of an awakening?
Hello, Kelly, and hello, everyone. My definition of reawakening or awakening, of course, is similar as yours, but I think on some level that people is having the really like different definitions about everything because the definition depends on the angle how we see things in our life, and there is no school for that. I mean, till now we have the school, but till now people does not have any kind of information. What is the awakening, how it happens, when it happens? So basically, it's like we are in a fog and we are on our own, and we need to think and process things like generally in life, like individually. We can connect with other people, but our definition is only our definition. And reawakening for me is a process. It's not the moment like I woke up, as we mentioned, like I woke up and that's it, boom, you have it all. No, that's a process, like a door that is open, and you can decide, like in that labyrinth of possibilities, which way are you going to take? Where are you going to turn left, turn right? What are you going to improve in your life with that reawakening part? So that's for me, the definition, like the precise definition of reawakening is like the process of remembering what we have in our soul.
I agree with that. It's so interesting because obviously we talk to a lot of people. We do a lot of client sessions, talk to a lot of friends and family. And I think what it comes down to for me is, of course, hindsight. Hindsight is 2020, just like it is for everyone. I don't think anybody recognizes in the moment that they're like, oh, I'm going through an awakening today, or, oh, today's day one of my awakening. I think that it comes with a lot of processing, just like you said. So, for me, when I look back, I always knew that there was something within me. And I think you and I've had this conversation before too, where you said, you felt different, or you always felt different. And I would say for me, it started around the age of 5 or 6. I started having prophetic dreams. I was encountering things. But granted, we know that children are in that theta brainwave state up until about age 7. So I would beg to say that most people see things, feel things, hear things, dream things, and they don't necessarily know what they mean, but they're open. Their brainwaves are open to those experiences. Whereas, as we get older, we become programmed to the daily life. We're thinking about numbers, we're thinking about grades, marks, square footage, how much we're making. All those things sort of blur, that creativity that we had as children. Now, for me, looking back, something I never connected until really recently was the fact that around age 6, I fell off these bike bars playing at school. All the kids at school were twirling on these bike bars. These bars are where people would tie their bikes up or lock their bikes up, as they rode to school and went into class, they left their bikes outside. There were these bike bars. And one day I was spinning on that bike bar. It started to rain out of nowhere, and I slid forward and I smashed my face into the concrete. And I remember, having a bleeding forehead. And to this day, I still have a bump. You can't actually see it, but I can feel it. I know it's there. And, I never really thought much about it. But after that experience, I now I recognize that's when I started having these premonitions. That's when I started having these dreams and these experiences. And they followed me all throughout my life. Now, I will say this, as much as I had all these interesting experiences and knowings, because I definitely have a claircognizance. Miro, I believe you said that as well, too. You have claircognizance?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
And
for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's like having a knowing. You just know, right?
Yeah, like
So
I had that, like from my perspective, like since I was so young, like I always knew that I was like somehow different. I was a misfit. I didn't fit basically in
mhm,
the system. But yet I was really, like I mean, at least my parents says like that I was really good as a kid. I was so
mhm,
obedient. Like, I listened to them. I respect them and love them, of course. But still,
yes.
about the system and everything, me being an aqua, I just knew from the very first early stages, like of my childhood, I knew that I was different in a way, that I will do something to make like a mark in this world, but not in a way of ego, not in a way of me finding who knows what, but
Mhm,
like reopening the third eyes to every single person in my life, in my like friendships, like even like my clients, everyone. And I love to say that we are all like the lighthouse,
mhm,
and we need to become one, because that lighthouse is going to shine on other people who needs help. So any kind of experience that I had, I love to like share with other people, because maybe with that I can help you. Not necessarily, I don't need to open your chart or open cards for you, but through
mhm,
simple talk here on TikTok, on Instagram, basically on each like the network and social, like social apps. When we talk about those kind of things, our soul, that's why people always say, take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't. So we have that natural filter inside us, that we know which brick we are going to put on the place. So
mhm.
if you don't have the brick number one, which is, the clarification in your mind that this is awakening, and you can have the million bricks after that. But if you don't have the first one, you wouldn't understand the other one. So there is an order, even in spirituality, in a way that you can't be just instantly boom and there you go, put the first brick, whichever you want. It's not
Mhm.
going like that. They're having numbers on it. They're having the stages, degrees on them, and everything. So that's how I at least see it, in a way of the perfect image, whatever you feel perfect that is in your life. Like you can build a house, you can build a pyramid, you can build like the whatever shape you want, whatever thing that you want in your life. But first of all, we need to understand that everybody says like spiritual people is so happy. No, because through
It's a lonely
spiritual,
journey. It's a
exactly,
lonely journey.
it's so, and it's so long, I mean, when I was like feeling that I was reawakened,
Mhm,
it happens when I was 13, 14 years old.
mhm,
I was having instantly out of nowhere, like I went to sleep and I was having the astral projection. I didn't know
mhm,
about it. Of course, I loved that. But as a moon in Scorpio and being an Aqua and Leo rising, I was like more, I want to look at that from the safe zone. Now, like when I look at that version of Miro, I was so proud that even back then I was having, the almost like some kind of like fearless energy. I wanted to try, and
mhm.
every single time when I tried, I couldn't achieve that. But that particular moment, I was having the astral projection, and from that moment and on, like door were open for me, because in that astral projection, I saw the Uranus as a planet, and in my mind, bam, that's Uranus.
Mhm,
Uranus is the planet of astrologers, planet that rules Aquarius.
mhm.
And but I didn't know astrology instantly, like all over the night. I know everything. No, I learned, and I'm learning still. Like I dedicated 17 years learning astrology. I know what I know, but I know how much I don't know. And that's the thing, being aware what do
Mhm.
you know and what you don't know.
It is such a process. I think what you're saying also is, in the moment, you're guided. Okay, you trust your intuition. There may be things that you don't know, and that's perfectly okay, because you're being pulled in that direction to learn more. So in the moment, I always say, I know what I know, and that's all I need to know. Because in that particular moment, when I'm making the decision, that decision is helping propel me forward. And what do I always say about being a Roomba? Okay. Roomba vacuum, for those of you that wonder. I don't mean Roomba the dance. I'm talking like a Roomba vacuum that spins around a room. You make a definitive decision. You know in that moment what you want to do. Okay. Whether it's right or it's wrong, it doesn't even really matter. You make a definitive decision. Okay. Well, if you hit a wall, you turn around, you redirect yourself. And that is the process of learning. I mean, I've been a teacher for over 18 years, and I know that we are lifelong learners. We never stop learning. Our brain needs to continue to make new synapses, new connections, new learnings in order to push ourselves forward. And when you say, the bricks, the building, that's what we need to do. However, when you say, okay, I had this moment and it helped propel me forward, that Uranus energy, that's beautiful, because that's the Fool energy. We all have the Fool energy at some point. And, that leads us to build. And sometimes we're going to build things that are going to come crashing down. And I think that sometimes is what I mean by the reawakening, because we go through a process of learning, we build, we make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. However, if we do not listen and we continually make these mistakes, there are going to be trigger points. They're going to bring that wall down. And that is okay. Sometimes it is okay to just start back at zero and rebuild. Now, to clarify the at zero point, I hear from a lot of clients that say to me, but Kelly, I don't want to be at ground zero. I don't want to start over again. This is all for nothing. And I say, no, it's not nothing. 0 point means you have a chance at a new beginning, a new cycle. What's more powerful here is that you have knowledge. You have knowledge of the past that's going to help propel you forward. You're going to do better this time. You know better, so you need to do better. You want new energy? You got to do different. And so I think that with reawakenings, I would describe them as this: points in our lifetime where we need to wake up. We need to listen. We're being told, we're being shown every single day which direction to go. Are we sitting there with our head down, or are we looking up? And I think that we're in a society at times where we're in this rat race where everybody just walks around with their head down, head in their phones, head in their laptop, whatever it is, not paying attention. We need to pay attention, because in order to push ourselves forward, we have to be aware. Now, I don't know about you. You said age 14. For me, I think it took a little bit longer than that. I was in a real phase where, for the longest time, I really trusted my intuition. I knew what I knew, and I pursued that. But what happened is I think I got a little too comfortable. And I think that many people can identify with this. And I'm sure you hear this in your sessions as well, where we get very comfortable. We get comfortable in our daily lives, our jobs, and our relationships. And we forget sometimes that we need to nurture those connections, but also, more importantly, we need to nurture ourselves. And whenever we lose ourselves, this is when we start to have these, what we call tower moments. So in the tarot, that when you get to the tower card, it means sudden breakthroughs, sudden changes, something comes out of left field, it knocks you off your feet, and you got to get up and go. And I always say, if you've got to make it or break it, you've always got to make it. You can't let yourself just lay down and do nothing, because if you do that and you sweep it under the rug, you're going to continue to be in that same position. But I understand the fear that people have when it comes to this sort of reawakening. Now, I don't know about you, Miro, but at what point, there's a lot of signs that people say signal a reawakening. For me, I would say one of the first signs that I had was seeing numbers, repeating numbers. What's your theory about numbers, or angel numbers, as people call them?
Well, I can say that, of course, I believe in synchronicity. I believe in numbers. I believe that, every single time when you see 144, that it is the number of a light worker, a light warrior, and that is a sign for you, like a wake-up call, in a way, like do something that is like raising your frequency, or as a clarification, you're on the right path. We have the common angelic number of, for example, 111, 1111, 222, 333, and etc., etc. It's not math like the class, but in a way of the combination of those numbers as well means something. But still, what's the issue there? We have divide groups, numbers in astrology, numbers in numerology, and numbers through angelic like system. They're totally different because numerology is having their own number. For example, number one is sun, number two is moon, number three, and it goes like that. In astrology, of course, number one is sun, but you know what? The thing is, like Monday, it's not the sun, it's Sunday. It's the seventh,
Right.
So we have like, what's the thing here? The thing is that you need to basically sign in what's cool, what is having the synchronicity for you. Maybe
Right.
you will start to have the synchronicity through angelic numbers. I will maybe have synchronicity through astrology because I am a professional astrologer. Somebody will have it through tarot deck or this or that. Like even like we did, like I remember like in our new moon Zoom session that we did, like is that the people who sign up by the order, they were having their own tarot card, because the
Yes.
number of them
Yes,
was
we
the
went
number
by
of
the
the.
order of whoever signed up first, that was the order in which we did the readings.
Exactly. And it was
Yes.
really interesting because every single thing, their stories were connected with a specific
Yes.
card, like the number of that card.
Yes.
And that's something, that's that sign in a moment where you are simply just attaching like in a belief system.
Right.
Because what we believe in, we give that a power over us, over our, like generally life. But let's go back to angelic numbers. These synchronicities does not need to occur like precisely on angelic numbers. In most cases, it is, the synchronicity. It is, like the early stages of beginnings, But on another level, we have the ear ringings, like we are having a lot of other synchronicities that for you might have some kind of significant meaning. For example, you see the feather, or you see the black cat, or you see this, you see that, because like, is that a belief system? Is that a superstition? Is this that or that? Never mind. The point is what you believe in. For example, in your best day, after the like reawakening, yeah, you go outside and find a little rock. I mean, the
Yes.
similar like this behind me, and you take that one rock and you said, this is my charm, this is my amulet, this is my semi-precious stone, this is like diamond. And you take that stone and you are believing in that because that's your lucky stone. You can go and buy the diamond, the turquoise, the citrine, whatever you want to buy. That semi-precious stone, it's not going to work as this one. Why? Because the first one that you see, like from the semi-precious stones, you're buying them from the perspective, I want to achieve something in my life, but yet, without any stone, without anything, in your best day, you achieved a lot because you're feeling like that and you just transfer the energy. So everything is about, how do we say, beauty lies in our perspective, how we see
It's the
things.
intention. It's the intention behind it. But you know
Exactly.
what I find interesting though about a reawakening, or an awakening, whichever way one wants to call it, is that, we don't know what the intention is in the moment. We're not always aware of what our intentions are because there are subconscious beliefs that we have within us. And it's so interesting because I'll never forget a conversation that I had with a friend of mine. And she's only a year older than I am, yet her perspective was, Kelly, wait till you hit 35. 35 is a very important year for women. And I remember at that point, my life was really good. For the most part, I would say I was in a good place. Although looking back, of course, in hindsight, I could see where there were cracks and things starting to crumble in my marriage. And it's interesting. As soon as I hit that point of 35, I recognized exactly what she meant. I started to notice that I was not taking care of myself or doing for me. And I think a lot of people can identify with this and how we lose ourselves with time. We don't take care of ourselves enough. We're always trying to please other people. We're a society of overgivers. And I was overgiving to everyone else. And, I think it was Jay Shetty, and I've commented on this before, who said, you can't give 20% to 5 different things and expect that that's 100%. And that's what I was doing. I was wearing myself thin, and I came crashing down in a major tower moment. And this rocked me. Now, I didn't know at the time what was happening. I just knew that my life was crumbling. I walked in the door of my home into a home that I had built with my ex-husband, that we designed together, built together. And 4 years after building it, there I walked in with $100,000 of damage, in this home. Now it was only aesthetic damage, so I mean it was really just about new floors and painting and whatever. But it forced me to say, okay, what's going on in my life? And I would describe that as my most pivotal reawakening moment, because I always had the intuition, just like everybody else watching here. We all have it wired within us. The question is, are we tapping into it? Do we trust ourselves? I always said earlier, I know what I know, and that's all I need to know. I've always felt that way. But this was something I didn't really pay attention to. I paid attention to everything else, I guess you could say. But when it came time to my own, relationship and boundaries, I really wasn't paying attention. And this is what really signaled a huge change for me. And that's when I had this reawakening. This is when I encountered people who came into my life as a catalytic change to teach me what I wanted, what I was worth, and what I valued in life, things that I forgot about. And so I started seeing numbers. I had synchronicities. All these things changed me for the better. And what I want to say about a reawakening is this was the best thing that ever happened to me. I have no regrets about the ending of my marriage. There is zero to zero to zero of anything that I long for. I'm appreciative of the time that I had, the lessons that I learned, but wow, did this ever propel me on the path that I'm on? Because I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't be on YouTube. I wouldn't be on TikTok. I wouldn't be on Instagram. I wouldn't be doing all these amazing things and have built the most wonderful community I could imagine. I would have still been stuck. And I think that that is the point to recognize that we need to have gratitude and be thankful for all the things that happened in our past. They happened for me, not to me. And this reawakening has been such a blessing, but it was there all along. And that's why I call it a reawakening. Now, Miro, did you have a similar experience? Or because you said at 14 you had what you would call sort of your awakening or reawakening. What was the process since then?
Let me just go back just quickly on what you
Mhm.
said, like about you having the gratitude for being here
Yes.
today, doing this, like
Yes.
that's the thing what I always say. I mean, of course, I'm aqua, I love freedom, but that kind of spiritual freedom, what do we know about the world? What do we know about the oceans? What do we know about the layers of the ground, of the soil, of everything? What do we know?
Mhm.
We don't know anything rather less than to know something about the universe and cosmos and things like that. Is the same with us. We don't know our body. We don't know our mind. First of all, our brain, who is having such a endless possibilities to do, but yet, if we believe that we are not alone in universe, if we believe that we didn't search for not even like 10% of the whole planet or whatever, like I don't know those statistics, but it's not enough. Yeah. So we don't know us as well. We need to learn about us. So I always say, people, you need to feel free inside you. You don't care. You don't need to care about society. You don't need to care about how much money you're going to have. Is my partner loves me or not? Is this, is that? Those are not the important things of life. The important thing is the experience of your soul. And how much experience you're going to have depends on how much freedom you're allowing yourself to have in life in general. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
And about the feelings, what happens after I was like having those astral projections and those things, I would start having lucid dreams.
Mhm.
But those lucid dreams were so crazy because I had all the control in the dream. You know, when we are going to sleep and we're dreaming, we are the observers. Like we are watching the TV show, but we are in the front line, or in cinema, but we are in the front line and watching like this, what's happening, where are we going? I want to run away, but I can't, I want to punch it, but it's like under the
Yeah.
water,
Yeah.
But I was having a lucid dream and I was like, wow, this is something really new, this is next level, and I was a bit scared. Like, I need to admit that I'm not like fearless as that back in days. But all those things that I dreamt about, like dreamt or saw or whatever, actually was years and years later when I started doing Reiki, when I started finishing all my seminars so far that I finished, that I'm really proud of. But everything that I heard from my mentor, from other people, like those energies that I have now in my hands, uh, is actually that moment. So it's almost like if I'm on this point over here and my previous mirror is here, it's almost like I saw something that I will connect to when I'm here right now. So that lines, like jumping from one point to another point. I love the dynamic of, not specifically like I had this or I had that, but everything makes sense. Absolutely. All my research, all my things that I was so curious, I'm curious even now, but all that curiosity that I had as a kid or a teenager, now everything makes sense. And I say about myself, of course, that's an awkward, like a Peter Pan. Like I know what is the obligations, like what is the being dedicated to something and what is my task to do. But
Mm-hmm.
still, I never lose, the thing inside me. I never lose that little Miro who was brave enough, it's almost like I'm giving him the credit for me becoming this, because I was questioning myself like recently, and I was saying, not questioning it, but just love to think. And I said, if I'm not astrologer, Reiki master, tarot master, and all those other things, I'm like Daenerys from Game of Thrones, but with all the titles, what would I be?
Mm-hmm.
What would I do? And the beauty that lies in reawakening is that with you being reawakened, you can choose absolutely anything, but you can't go to sleep again.
Well, it's so interesting you say that, because when I think about what I'm doing right now, versus what I used to do, they are very similar, but I feel like it's like next level. I've always loved helping people my entire life. I love helping people. I love teaching. I mean, my life path number is a 3. Okay. 3 is master teacher, right? So that's part of my life path, is teaching other people and helping other people. And so this has allowed me to branch off in a direction that I never thought imaginable. I never thought in a million years that I would put my face out there on social media every single day. I don't know about you, but anybody I ask, when you talk about filming videos, who likes to see their face all day, every day, hear their voice all day, every day? We cringe, right? Because we say, oh my goodness, we're putting ourselves on display. But, I knew that there was a greater purpose in putting myself out there. I wasn't ready before, but I became ready. And what made me become ready was allowing myself to rebuild. And this is why I said earlier, we can't be afraid to start a new cycle. And something that you just said that I want to point out is, yeah, we're all fearful. Of course we are. There's no question that we have fear, that we have anxiety. Can I do this? Can I have this? But the future is exciting. It doesn't have to be scary. And if our comfort zone is so comfortable, why would we want to leave it? Ask anybody. Everybody wants change. They're just afraid to do it. And so this is the thing. Sometimes we need a little kick in the pants, or we need something beyond our control to push us in the direction that we really want to go in, that we didn't have the guts to do in the first place. And, I found myself doing for everybody else. And I just want to make a side note here. If any of you have ever had that moment where you said to yourself, I do this, 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 this for everybody else, and who thinks about me? I know I've been there because that's what propelled me to be where I am right now. And it's not to say that people didn't care about me. Of course they cared about me, but I truly felt alone. And, that's the sad part about the spiritual journey. And I mentioned it earlier. It is a lonely journey at times because you're trying to find you. Nobody can do it for you. It's not like somebody's going to walk in and all of a sudden make you happy one day, or something's going to come across your table and it's like, oh, this makes me so happy. I'll be happy when this occurs. We have to do that for ourselves. And I'm very proud to say that I did do all of this on my own. In a moment, did I begrudge the fact that I felt alone? Yes. At the same time, in retrospect, I needed to. And I think this is the issue that we have in society of overgiving, is that many of us want to solve everybody else's problems. I talk to a lot of clients who say, yeah, but I want to help him. I want to help her. And that's lovely. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And I know that you have the same conversations daily. And I think as people who've been through reawakenings, or sometimes, we're not fully all there yet. We're all on different timelines, but I always describe myself as being a little bit more on the other side because I've been through the process. I'm able to look back through experience, and I only ever talk through experience when I'm having these conversations with people. I'm able to look objectively and say, okay, now, is your person going to be able to fix whatever this is while you're at arm's length, or while you're there to be a power bank where they come with their charger, at 2%, and they want to charge your battery and then drain you and then get up and go? They need to be able to find their own power, their own energy, charge themselves up, not look to external sources to do it, because nobody really can do it for you. And so I think that that's why a reawakening is almost like that jolt. It's that something coming out of left field that really just propels you in another direction. And, again, I think that this is something that you and I are meant to do and meant to help people with.
Well, let me add something. First of all, you said like your personal number is number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is 1, which gives 4, which is, I always think 401s, 1111,
Yes.
synchronicities and things like that. Of
Yes.
course, 4 of Pentacles, which gives us, the stability, but also finding out our, like new talents, hidden talents as well, and
Mm-hmm.
et cetera, et cetera. But the thing that, like I recently saw with working with my clients is that everybody instantly right now wants to be awakened or reawakened, whatever you use. And I was like, okay, it's not that it is not for everybody. It is for everybody to be reawakened. That's a good thing. But yet you can't be, for example, that's something that I saw. I didn't work with those people, but I just saw that some people said like, I want to be on your level instantly. Like, you can't do that. For example, when you're going to, like learn about Reiki, first of all, there's a rules. I mean, it's a funny thing how me as an aqua talking about rules, but yet, the symbol of Aquarius, the 2 waves, the first wave, the lower one, represents the Saturn, who is the co-ruler of the Aquarius. But it's the ruler of Capricorn, which is the tradition. So the lower wave is a tradition. The upper wave represents the Uranus, represents the change. It represents those waves of revolution that we are doing as an aquas. So if you want to change something, first of all, you need to know things and to have the base.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, like, how can you can't skip, people want to skip everything just to, I want to try. So you're going to take the first degree of Reiki. After that, you need to have at least 1 month practicing all day, not all day, but every single day, whole month, to practice Reiki. After that, you can go to initiation in 2nd degree. From 2nd degree to 3rd degree, you need to have at least 6 months of practicing the energy, because you have a lot of other energies that is contained that you need to practice. And after that, a year until you become the 4th degree, like the master, actually the teacher.
Right.
And one person came to me and says like, oh, I finished the third degree of Reiki. And I was like, how? Like, I didn't saw you like maybe for 1 month or month and a half.
Mhm.
And he says, like, I finished this in like such a short notice. That amount of energy that you do, like you can't absorb everything. You can't absorb instantly and being on someone else's level. That's a process, and people does not know. They're saying like, but maybe I'm the like the bigger capacity than you are. Maybe I can do it. Maybe at this, that, being cocky a little bit. But I don't have a problem with that. If you want to do it, do it. But
Mhm.
when you get burned, don't get to me, trying to find the advice or things like that, because there is an order for a reason. Because
Mhm.
in one way, the whole system in the world and everything that is happening, they're literally like spread everywhere. But
Mhm.
still, in a spiritual way, they are not spread. In a spiritual way, we have the order. How do we learn? Imagine like you and I want to open cards without a card.
Mhm.
That's similar energy. So I was like facing with those kind of things, like because the clients that I work with was talking with to me about the people who wants to skip things, and become instantly on the
Now, is
high
that
level.
related to spiritual bypassing? I mean, we can talk about that in another episode, but I think there's a lot of spiritual bypassing that does occur. I mean, I think what I would say about the process is this, is that everybody is on a different timeline, and everybody, has their own learning and life experiences. But I understand what you're saying, is that sometimes people want instant gratification to be able to say, I'm very awakened, and look at me, I have this, and that's wonderful. But really what true spirituality means to me is sort of that unconditional love, unconditional understanding, and compassion. Anybody can do anything in a 6 month period or in a month period or whatever. I think what it is it's about the process. And I don't mean to roll my eyes. And I do it jokingly when I say trust the process, because here's what was very pivotal in my reawakening. And I'll never forget the story. And I talk about it a lot on my social media. And that was the time when someone walked out my front door, turned around over their shoulder and said, trust the process, Kelly. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, trust the process. What does that mean? And I call myself a dummy, even though of course I don't really mean that. But I remember saying, how come I didn't ask what that meant? Like, how could I, as a Virgo, the Virgo in me who needs to know, how come I didn't say, what do you mean by that? And that person had the foresight. And it's astounding to me in retrospect, because that person said exactly what I needed to hear in the moment, because I wasn't supposed to know. I wasn't supposed to know. How could in that moment I have truly known? I needed to learn the lesson of what trust the process meant. And that meant going on this journey. How many years did it take me to really get to this point where now I look back and I say, you know what? Thank you. Thank you. That was probably one of the most pivotal lessons I could have ever learned, more than the breakdown of my marriage, more than the making boundaries in my family and friendships and work environment. That trust the process, as cheesy as it sounds, changed me for life. And I am so thankful that I went through it. And it's slow. And I think what I want to say about this is that we need to understand that this is a process, like you said, the process of arrival. You don't have to be so spiritually ascended. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Not everybody has to encounter each other and say, Miro, I need to be on the same spiritual level that you are, and you need to be on the same spiritual level that I am. It's not about that. It's about growth. As long as someone is showing growth and in the process of change, that's all that's necessary. And I think we need to take the pressure off ourselves, because we are in a society of instant gratification, to be able to say, well, look at me. I have this, and this, and I am absolutely awakened, and I am a master of this. Well, you may very well be. But at the same time, we need to understand that this is a process, and we're all going to be at different timelines. We're all going to be at different levels, and that is okay. Isn't it Ram Dass that says we're all here to walk each other home? That's what it means. There's enough room in the spiritual world for all of us, and we're all at different places, and that's okay. And I think that goes for the 3D world as well. We don't have to always be so competitive or think we have to do things at a particular age. We talked about this in one of our other videos. It's not like you have to graduate it this year, finish school, post-secondary at this point, get married, buy a house, have kids. There is no timeline. It's whatever's meant to be the process for that individual person. And so I really get what you're saying. It is absolutely a process. And as cheesy as it sounds, we need to trust it.
Yeah, but people, the issue it is today, like in this 21st century. But I believe that actually it was on and there for like, so many years and even centuries, people simply loves to compete. And if you're in a competition zone and mode of how you participate in something, in a spiritual reawakening or whatever, and is that a false reawakening, or you're just convincing yourself that, like mentally, that you are reawakened? Like the highest frequency is the frequency of love in this universe. The unconditional love that comes from the source, that comes from the central of our universe. That is the unconditional love. If you didn't feel the unconditional love, I mean, I will say just one quick story. What happened? Like that happened really like like few weeks ago, I think. So it was like night, and I went, I was hungry a little bit, and I just wanted to like go and get myself something. And I go for a walk. I order the food, obviously, because I just want to come there and just grab it, the fresh air, to walk a little bit. Yeah. I went there. First of all, the lady that works there, she was feeling sick, and she almost like passed out, but her co-worker was there to help her. And when I was calling, I was talking actually with her, and she didn't put, to prepare my meal that I ordered. And I was like, okay, maybe somebody would say like, I, waited this, that, never mind. Like I have the tolerance like so much, and I'm reasonable as a person.
You are understanding.
Exactly. And I was waiting, and just simply start talking with her, like because she went out for an errand, her like co-worker was preparing that. Instantly, I just asked her about, what's her zodiac sign, what's this, what's that,
Of course, that's always our first question when we meet people. That's what I want to know. I want to know their zodiac sign. Yeah,
exactly. That's our spiritual identification.
Yes.
And the funny thing is that I listened to her, because I sense that she wants to talk, she wants to yell, she wants to cry, laugh, and have all the emotion at once, but nobody was there to listen to her. And I just said one word, she opened up. I said two words, she opened up. Then after that, I was the one who was doing the speaking. She listened. The meal was over. Like I just gave her a few advices and everything. I took my meal and I just walk away. She was like waiting, thank you, And I just, in that specific moment, the love that I felt the unconditional love. I just look at the sky. It was the beautiful stars, and everything. And I just said, thank you, God, universe, angels, whoever. Thank you for giving me the power to help other people in life. That's how I, in my life, as a sign next to Rose, Synchronicity, recognize the people that I work with today.
I'm totally in agreement with you. I love that story because it reminds me of actually how you and I met. Because a lot of people, may not know, we met through TikTok. We met through, you actually, I believe it was your mother who saw me on TikTok in one of my lives. But what I really appreciate about TikTok and about my lives and the people that join me in my lives every day is that we have this bond with each other. We have this community feel. And it's because why? People need to feel acknowledged and want to feel acknowledged. They have a desire to interact and be listened to and engage. And as a high school teacher myself, I can say this about me. The way I am on TikTok in my lives is the exact same way that I am in a classroom with my students or when I'm with my friends. This is about engagement. It's about listening. It's about acknowledging. It's knowing people's names. People come into my lives and I'm saying, hi, Paul, hi, Shells. It's like, hi, Miro. It's like I'm acknowledging every person that I can, as much as I possibly can. Now, sometimes it's hard to remember every single name or every single username, but I do my very best to interact with people to feel like we're a part of something together. And I think what your story says is that even though you were just going to pick up a meal, you were going there with the intention of engaging with the person who sold you that meal or made that meal for you. And you had a moment with each other where you say you took an interest in that person and that person took an interest in you. And even if it was for 5 minutes, half an hour, it doesn't really matter. The impact we can have on someone can be really great just by acknowledging that person. And what you did that day, Miro, is like you sparked something in her. And, she sparked something in you. And that's the gratitude. And that's how I feel about, when I'm with you and we do our videos and we do our lives together. It's like, I'm so grateful for the connection. I'm so grateful for the people that support me every single day. I can't do it without them, right? And they tell me sometimes, Kelly, I can't do it without you. We have each other's backs. And that's what's important in the process of reawakening, is that we feel that we have a support system. Because, I think that when we're in the process before those tower moments or before that reawakening, we often feel very alone. We feel like people aren't listening. We're not communicating. This is why so many relationships, this could be friendships, this could be romantic, this can be work. So many relationships fail for the fact that we don't communicate with each other. We don't take the time for each other. People have their head in their phones, they have the head in their computer, they're worried about numbers, they're worried about bills. And I understand that those are real world problems. I get it. But to some extent, we need to nurture the connections that we have. And I find that when someone has that reawakening, they have a whole new outlook on life. And something I wanted to ask you about, I'm assuming you would probably say the same thing that I would. When I think about what triggers a reawakening, from the experiences that I've had personally and from the conversations I've had with people, it tends to be the same themes. It could be, and God forbid, we don't wish anyone to be in an accident, but sometimes when people have accidents, near-death experiences, the loss of someone very close, is in a death of someone very close, a breakup of a friendship, a breakup of a romantic relationship. These are things that bring us to our knees and they force some sort of change. And as difficult as these changes can be, they can be some of the most monumental, life-changing moments ever. What we make of these experiences is key. And I know that I have extreme gratitude because I wouldn't even go back to yesterday. I wouldn't go back to last week. I wouldn't go back to last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You couldn't pull me anywhere near that. I am so happy where I am today. And it took me a long time to really recognize that we have to be happy in the present moment. You can visit the past, you can't live there. The future, well, it's unwritten. Yes, you have the power to create your personal reality, your environment, of course, your thoughts, your feelings, whatever. But why worry about the future? You have to worry about the now. And, let's work to building something beautiful in the present. And I would say that you would probably agree with me that these are the type of instances that trigger these reawakenings.
Exactly. The intuition is something that we have inside us since the moment where we are born, regardless the religion, regardless everything, that's intuition. That is going through each and every religion. But the gifts that we have, those gifts can be, maybe you are good for this, maybe you're good for that, whatever that is spiritually, like the
Mhm.
meaning. Um, why those like the breaking points happen? Why like the near-death experience or the loss or this or that is triggering? The question, actually, the answer on that question, that because you didn't validate, explore,
Mhm.
expand something that was God given to you.
Right.
Somebody would says, but Miro, how to expand, to know, to acknowledge something that I don't know, that I even have. But
Mhm.
yet, you can't expect me to believe that you never have in your life the smallest intuition moment, like the crack in the concrete where the flower is blossom or the
Right.
grass is rising. So um, the moment why those things happen is because that's a epiphany. That's a like a whole another world that it's opening in front of your eyes. But the tower moment is something that happens because you can't see the star if the tower is not happened before that. So the moment where things are collapsing, not necessarily that it needs to be collapsed in your life in order for you to be reawakened. I mean, I don't want to scare you guys. That's not
Yeah.
it. That's not it.
No,
But
no.
I'm
He
just
said
saying.
sometimes it just happens out of nowhere. I mean, you have the ability to be in control of your healing. I mean, what Miro was referring to, if anybody didn't know, the star card in the tarot is the card that follows the tower card. And so when he's saying, you don't see the star, the reason why you don't see the star is because in tarot, you need to have the tower before the healing. But that doesn't mean you can't be self-aware and recognize that, okay, I need help or I need to heal. And, that's, I think what you were saying.
Exactly. So basically, people are not enough focused to explore the same thing that I said about our beautiful planet that we are, living on for free. Um,
Yes.
we are not taking care of it on the same way we are not taking care of our body. We're not taking care of our intuition, of course, like now the higher accent is on our intuition and spirituality that we need to put on if we want to be reawakened. And that's the reason, because imagine that you are in a, we're all kids and we have our parents who is saying, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. And you're not listening. You're not paying attention.
Mhm.
You're being arrogant. You're being like, I don't want that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in
Defiant.
cleaning the room.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then your mom or dad come inside the room, like give you, like something to,
A stern
yeah,
talking to, Miro, a stern talking to. Yes.
yeah. So basically after that, you start doing things. It's the same, it's just this. Back then you were a kid, now you're a grown man. If your parent come to you now saying things about you, trying to teach you, you will not believe it. You will enter in arguing mode in a way like that. You will like almost like say, I don't want to do that because of this, and that. You are arguing, you're or explaining to them, or just having your, attitude like, no, that's the card 701s, healthy
Yes.
boundaries. But this is more like in a fighting mode. But so basically the universe gives us something that it's a trigger point,
Yes.
something that is triggering us to dig deep. Why does it happen? Because when it happens, then we put the question mark and say, why? We're not saying like, oh my God, why did I get the payment?
Mhm.
No, we are saying, because of course we expect that, but nobody is expecting the bad things. Nobody's expecting those things to happen. And you imagine this, you're not being focused on your spirituality, you're not being focused on yourself, you're not being focused on your intuition, yet you are uh, basically ignoring the messages that universe gives you.
Ignoring the
And yet when
signs.
something, exactly, and then uh, things, something happen in your life, whatever that is, your favorite plant died, never
Yep.
mind, whatever that is,
Yeah.
and then you start questioning. Then you
Yeah.
say like, Okay, let me check the tarot card. Let me check this. Let me do this or that. And then you're opening. I'm not saying
Yes.
that it needs to happen something bad, obviously not, but
No,
this
it
is
could be
something
it
that
could be
is
something so minor. It could be something so great. It really doesn't matter. All it is it's a trigger to speak to you, to
but
open you.
the whole universe is actually made in balance of good and bad, or positive or negative,
Light
the
and
white
dark.
and exactly. So
100%.
that is the yin and yang. And you can't
Yes.
expect that if you are doing something good, that you will not have the triggers. I mean,
I
me and
you.
Kelly can talk about triggers in our own lives
Mhm.
individually that we have, that you will say like, oh my God, like seriously?
Mhm.
Like, because people does not know that if you're like spiritually reawakened or awakened, that does not necessarily mean that you're protected. Same as me, that would be like, I'm astrologer, professional astrologer, and I'm protected from Mercury retrograde.
Of course not. I mean, we're human. I mean, listen, we are spiritual beings in a meat suit. This is the reality. We are not, we're not humans living a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings living a human experience, and there are going to be times where we're going to be triggered. We're going to be in our heads, but this is the key. It's about knowing better, and you know taking the lessons we've learned and pushing ourselves forward. Mira, I'd like to take a couple cards before we finish off. Let's take a couple cards just to see where our collective is at in their awakening.
Okay, let me just say one more thing and we will go to
Yeah,
cards. I
yeah.
just want to say to everybody who is going to watch this video, try to remember one fact, because we are living in illogical times, obviously. So let's
Mhm.
remember one thing. When we are kids, when we see someone who is coming to see our parents or hanging out with them, or some member of family saying, oh, come here to hug you, to kiss you,
Yeah.
and things like that, there is people who we instantly click and know, I like him. And there is
Yeah.
people who instantly we know, I don't like him. And you
Yes.
instantly start crying. Try to think of that to unlock that first impression that you have about
Your
someone,
intuition.
because that's intuition.
It is. Side note, there's research that suggests that it's actually your heart knows even before your head and even your gut. There was a study where they hooked people up to heart machines, brain waves, and they showed them images. And the images were good images, bad images, and they were all mixed. Like you didn't know which image you were going to get. Like you could get an image of war, but you could also get an image of rainbows and butterflies. And the heart knew before anything else. And I'm not talking about the heart as in romance, like ooh baby, ooh baby. What I mean is it's the actual heart waves, the electromagnetic field of the heart. The heart knows, and so the longest journey is from the head to the heart. And that's obviously not my line, but it's a line that I've really abided by and really thought about, because we get in our own way of our heart. We overthink things, we think it's our gut, it's your heart. Always trust your heart. You know what you feel, you know what you know, and that's all you need to know in that moment, of course. So let's take a couple cards and see where we are all at in this spiritual journey. Let's try to navigate a little bit, um, in this first episode. And let's see after this first episode, really where everything takes us. I think that there's a lot of exciting times on the horizon here. But the first card, you cannot make this up. The first card that I got is the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is the queen of the ethereal realm. She's the keeper of secrets, signs, synchronicities. I mean, again, and you have the
Page of Wands.
spark. Look at that. This is us saying we have a spark of creativity. I always say to people, what are you passionate about? I'm very passionate about passion projects. I always say, what do you love to do that you stopped doing because what? Life got in the way. That's to me what happens with reawakenings. You couldn't even make this up, actually, that we're having this conversation, because what did I say at the very beginning to come full circle? Up until about age 7, we are in this theta brainwave where we're so creative. Children, Okay, if you're around children, you're a parent, you're a teacher, or nieces and nephews, whatever, cousins, you know that they draw pictures and you have no idea what they've drawn, but they do. They know the whole story and they look at you like, how do you not know? You know, they're just so creative. And, you know, by that age 7 or so, we get programmed to that daily life and we get caught up in the daily grind and that rat race. And then all of a sudden, something triggers us to reawaken. And that's when we get this desire to go back to all the things that we used to love to do: drawing, painting, dancing, a sport, a hobby, whatever it is. What are you passionate about? What sparks your soul? What is it that you want to do that you stop doing? What brings you that joy? So that is amazing that these are the first two cards that came out.
I would just add that, this is the moment when I say, go back when you were a kid, because you know, generally the pages are always kids,
Yeah, they're young.
So let's go back to beginning, let's go back to remembering, because us as a kids have the strongest intuition. So
Yes.
when the reawakening happens, then you are in a moment where you're building up, and growing up that kid's intuition, and it's growing out to be the teenager's intuition, then it's going to be the, adult's intuition. So basically, like, this is the most important like direction that you need to be on.
Yeah. Okay, let's take another card. And I love it. Oh my goodness, you so cannot make this up. I've got the 9 of Cups, and the 9 of Cups is like the genie's lamp. You got the High Priestess. Of course you did,
Yes.
Miro. We're always on par with each other, my soul brother. The 9 of Cups is ask and you shall receive. And if we don't ask, how are you ever going to change anything? You have to have the desire, that curiosity for something different, for something better, because you deserve it. You deserve the best of the best of the best. And so that 9 of Cups says, ask and put yourself out there. And there's the High Priestess. I mean, wow, that's beautiful.
So this is more like, going back in a circle, but this is a good circle, go back. I mean, when you were a kid, do something that you didn't and couldn't do as a kid.
Yes.
You will have the 9 of Pentacles that Kelly holds, the 9 of Cups, sorry. So the 9 of Cups, which is the wish being fulfilled, wish being granted, everything. Then you're going again on intuition, going again back when you were a kid, and then you're going in a circle and building up your intuition, building up yourself, and basically being reawakened.
I love it. I mean, incredible, Miro. Thank you so, so much for this talk. I really look forward to our next talk. We're going to be talking about all things spiritual. You're going to find that we're going to talk energy, we're going to talk Reiki, crystals, tarot, awakenings, twin flames, relationships, you name it. We have all of it on the agenda. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.